There's a phenomenon many men experience but rarely know how to explain. The less a man speaks, the more certain mature women seem to attach. Not casually, not superficially, but deeply. They think about him. They replay interactions. They wonder what he feels, what he thinks, what he sees. And most importantly, they struggle music to forget him. This has nothing to do with fake mystery, nothing to do with dating tactics, nothing to do with manipulation. It is rooted in something far more fundamental. To understand it, you first need to understand this. Mature women do not respond to the same signals younger women do. A mature woman has lived, she has loved, she has been disappointed, rebuilt, and disappointed again. She has already experienced men who talked endlessly but felt empty, men who were emotionally intense but unstable, men who promised connection but created chaos. She has heard the speeches, she has believed the explanations, she has mistaken emotional noise for depth. Over time, her nervous system learns. It learns to distrust excessive words. It learns to detect emotional agitation. It learns that constant reassurance often hides insecurity. And this is where silence changes meaning entirely. Not awkward silence, not avoidant silence, but contained silence. The silence of a man who has nothing to prove, who doesn't sell himself emotionally, who doesn't explain his worth. A man who speaks little but precisely, who doesn't rush to fill space, who doesn't overexpose his inner world. This kind of silence sends a very specific signal to the mature feminine nervous system, a signal that bypasses logic and speaks directly to the body. It says, this man is stable, this man is centered, this man does not need me emotionally. And for a mature woman, that signal is deeply unsettling because it is deeply rare. Most men do not become calmer with age. They become more anxious, they explain more, they reassure more, they talk more because they fear loss, they fear being replaced, they fear no longer being enough. A silent man transmits the opposite. He transmits emotional sovereignty. And this is where something activates. For a mature woman, attraction no longer starts with excitement. It starts with nervous system regulation. When a silent, grounded man enters a room, he doesn't create emotional tension. He doesn't create urgency. He doesn't create expectation. He creates space. And in that space, her nervous system softens. This matters more than most men realize. Mature women often live in emotional vigilance. They've learned to read moods, anticipate conflict, manage emotional volatility. With unstable men, they must contain themselves. With overly expressive men, they must filter. With anxious men, they must reassure. But with a silent, centered man, they can finally rest. And that feeling becomes almost addictive because she is no longer seeking adrenaline. She is seeking safety combined with tension. And embodied silence creates exactly that balance. But there is something even subtler at play. Silence creates an interpretive gap. When a man speaks less, he does not give away all the answers. He does not narrate his intentions. He does not make himself fully legible. And that lack of information forces projection. She begins to wonder, what does he think of me? How does he see me? What do I represent to him? Not because he is hiding, but because he is not performing intimacy. For a mature woman, this projection is not naive. It is deep. It draws from memory, experience, comparison. She unconsciously compares how she feels around him to how she felt with other men. And often the contrast is striking with men who spoke constantly. She always knew where she stood, but she felt bored or overwhelmed or emotionally drained. With the silent man, she does not feel unsafe, but she does not feel in control either. And this loss of emotional control, when it is contained, then becomes a source of fascination, because the silent man does not react immediately. He observes, he integrates, he responds when he chooses. He is not pulled by emotional fluctuations. He does not adjust himself to please. He does not justify his presence. And for a mature woman used to managing relational dynamics, this posture is profoundly destabilizing. Not because she is manipulated, but because she cannot manipulate. She senses that this man is not attached, that he does not seek validation, that he does not need her to feel whole. And paradoxically, that is what triggers attachment. Because mature feminine desire does not move toward dependence, it moves towards self contained stability. Silence becomes a filter. It repels women who need control. It attracts women capable of depth. And the more coherent, calm, and embodied the silences, the more it amplifies emotional impact. It is not silence that makes the man attractive. It is what silence reveals about his inner structure. A silent man shows that he can stay without clinging, that he can leave without drama, that he can be present without dissolving. And for a mature woman, that changes everything, because she is no longer looking for someone who chooses her at any cost. She is looking for someone who chooses himself first and then chooses consciously. This is where obsession sometimes begins. Not dramatic obsession, mental obsession. She thinks quietly, analyzes, feels because she sensed something different, something stable, something rare. And that sensation does not fade easily. To really understand why this dynamic becomes so powerful, you have to look beyond attraction and into mature attachment. A mature woman does not become obsessed because a man is mysterious. She becomes obsessed because he does not try to secure her and at the same time does not allow himself to be secured. That position is rare. By this stage in life, a woman has learned to recognize need even when it's subtle, even when it's polite, even when it's well hidden behind confidence or charm. She can feel when a man is looking to her for something: validation, emotional regulation, a sense of worth or relief from loneliness. And even when those men are kind, stable, and sincere, she feels the demand underneath. Over time, that demand quietly kills desire. The silent man is different. He does not ask, he does not lean, he does not subtly pull. He enters the connection without hunger. And that absence of hunger creates a reversal. Instead of wondering, does he want me? She starts wondering, do I matter to him? This shift is everything, because mature feminine desire is no longer about being chased. It is about being chosen deliberately. A silent man does not choose verbally, he chooses through posture. He does not give unlimited access. He does not invest indiscriminately. He does not open his inner world to everyone. His time has weight. His attention has boundaries. His presence feels earned, not automatic. This forces a mature woman to slow down, to observe, to feel, to recalibrate her own positioning. And this is where obsession can begin. Not because she is being played, but because her usual relational scripts stop working. She cannot place him easily. He is not distant, but he is not merging. He is not cold, but he is not overflowing. He is not indifferent, but he is not dependent. That precise ambiguity becomes a point of fixation. She replays conversations, moments of shared silence, looks, subtle reactions, because those moments were not flooded with emotion. They left space and emotion that is not forced imprints more deeply. Another powerful element enters here: the fear of losing something rare. A mature woman knows most men are replaceable, predictable, emotionally accessible. But a silent, grounded man quickly becomes non-inchangeable because he is not rushing, because he is not overinvesting, because he is not asking to be reassured. The more she senses that this man could walk away without anger, without collapse, without explanation, the more a quiet tension forms, not panic, but alert desire. She understands often without words that this man will not stay out of habit. He will not remain out of comfort. He will not tolerate endless ambiguity. And that awareness deepens attachment because stability without possession feels valuable. This is when obsession becomes internalized. Not dramatic, not expressive, silent. She doesn't necessarily talk about it. She may not even admit it to herself, but she thinks. She imagines how he would react in certain situations, what he would say, what he would do. Because he left no emotional chaos behind. He left a calm imprint, and calm imprints last. A silent embodied man creates contrast without effort, not by doing more, but by doing less with precision. He does not fill space to avoid discomfort. He does not speak to regulate anxiety. He allows pauses. And the ability to hold silence is a form of inner authority. To a mature woman, that authority signals something essential. This man is not running from himself. And someone who does not run from himself becomes deeply attractive because he is grounded, because he does not need to be loved to exist, because he prefers respect to reassurance. And this is where desire transforms. It becomes quieter, deeper, more persistent. It doesn't demand immediate action, and it invites reflection, feeling, presence. A mature woman around this kind of man can lower her defenses. She can soften because she does not feel invaded. She does not feel pressured. She does not feel managed, but she does not feel bored either. She feels held without being contained. And that balance is exceptionally rare. This is why silence acts as a revealer. It does not create obsession. It reveals a woman's capacity to attach to stability without dependence. Not all women can. Some turn away from silence because they need reaction, because they need control. But women who are emotionally ready feel something else. They sense they are in front of a man who does not consume them, who does not use them to fill emptiness, who does not turn them into emotional support. And that sensation changes everything. Because at this stage of life, a woman is no longer looking to be chosen by a fragile man. She wants to be recognized by a solid one. Silence becomes language. It says, I am here, but I do not lose myself. I can desire, but I can also walk away. I do not confuse attraction with attachment. And that language is understood deeply, not intellectually, physically. That is why mature women sometimes become obsessed with silent men. Not because those men are absent, but because they are present without imposing. Not because they are distant, but because they are centered. Not because they play games, but because they don't need to play at all. And that absence of performance becomes the most captivating thing of all. Because what is real does not need noise to exist. And what is rare never leaves the nervous system untouched.